Gentlemen, welcome back to the Jet Press Podcast. My name is Justin Fried, and I'm joined, as always, by my good friend, Mike Luciano. Mike, preseason's just about over. Training camp is officially over. As of today, there is one preseason game left this Friday, and it's full steam ahead to the regular season. How are you feeling right now, buddy? What's going on?
I'm feeling a little anxious because Jets, we were riding high after that Packers game. We thought, oh, Aaron Glenn, he got it all figured out. And then reality came and said, actually, you don't have anything figured out. So because of that,
classic overreaction preseason. The Bills got blown out 38-0. They're fine.
They did. We'll get into if there are any takeaways from that whole mess that was their game against the New York Giants. We'll look forward to guys who could maybe secure a roster spot against Philadelphia Eagles in their final preseason game. We'll also talk about some trade rumors again because Jets have been linked to some wide receivers. They have not been linked to a Breece Hall trade, as Aaron Glenn has said for about the 10th time. I don't know why people keep asking him, but he's going to give them the same answer. We're not trading Breece Hall. We'll get into all that. Thank you guys for tuning in. You know where to find us on all the podcast platforms, Apple, Google, Spotify, Overcast, and liking the stream on YouTube. That helps. Subscribe and hitting the little bell so you get the notifications. All that really helps push us up those charts, help us get more visible, help us do more great content for you Jets fans out there. Got it? Okay.
Let's do it.
Let's rock, baby. So we got a preseason travesty against the New York Giants because this game, I think, is really a pretty good Rorschach test for where you are as a Jet fan right now because you look at these two games, Green Bay and the Giants, could not have gone more differently. Green Bay, they look like this perfect ground and pound team. The defense wasn't giving up an inch at all. We're like, are they going to give up a touchdown all season long? I mean, look at this thing. They're crushing people. Then the Giants came along, and the defensive line was giving him troubles. Membu, I don't know why they gave him that low of a grade, but he had some reps where he could have done a little bit better. I thought he's still a good run blocker, but there were some pass blocking reps where you're like, okay, he's a rookie, he got, which you didn't see in that first game against the Packers. Justin Fields, not only was he not throwing the ball well, one completed pass for 4 yards, which is a rinky-dink throw we could have made, but they didn't even try to throw the ball in that game. And they ran the ball, it'd be 11 straight times at one point on that drive? I know they called one pass play, but Fields ended up running it anyway. This is really just a Rorschach test for the Jets fan because if you're positive, you're going to go, well, now's the time to iron out the kinks and look at what happened in Green Bay. Fields had that great touchdown drive where he was in control, made some good throws. You're like, okay, we got it. And if you're a negative Jets fan, which I don't know how you wouldn't be at this point in your Jets fan experience, you're looking at that game and you're going, oh, more of the same. Because the Giants are supposed to be just as bad, if not worse, than the Jets this year. And they just beat the ever-living piss out of them. And Jackson Dart looks great. So I'm leaning more towards the negative side. Not wholly into, oh, my God, what's going to happen here. But I think the Jets that we're going to see in the regular season are a little bit closer to what we saw against the Giants. They're not going to be that bad every week, but you did see a lot of the limitations that are on this team. And we expected that going in. Nobody thought this was going to be an 11 or 12-win team like we thought last year with Aaron Rodgers. But it is a little disheartening to see the positive momentum be brought to such a big halt immediately.
Yeah, I don't have many big picture takeaways from this Giants game, just like I really didn't have too many big picture takeaways from the Packers game. A lot of it is preseason. A lot of it is this is the only football we've had for months, so fans are understandably going to overreact. I don't think that the offense that we saw in either the Packers or Giants game, for that matter, is going to closely resemble the offense that we see during the regular season. Now, I do think the Jets will be a run-first team. They will be, predominantly a run-heavy team. They're not going to rely on Justin Fields' arm necessarily as much as his legs, but I think it was a very vanilla blueprint for kind of exactly what the offense might end up looking like. So that's kind of why I don't have too many concerns coming out of that performance.
Joshua Kerr says, happy to catch this live. Keep up the good work, boys.
Hey, there you go. Appreciate it.
We got to go shout out the members as always. 99 cents a month.
But yeah, I don't think, as you see around the NFL, that the offense that Tanner Engström ran in this game was not the offense that the Jets are going to run. I think there'll be a lot more takeaways from week one to see what the offense ends up looking like. But yeah, it's not entirely, I don't think there's a lot of optimism necessarily coming out of the passing game from that first performance. But
can I ask you something, Justin?
Sure.
Why are they not even attempting to throw the ball in the preseason? I get they're going to be a run-first team, but you'd think, isn't this the time now to see how Fields is doing with certain concepts? I know they see it in practice a lot, but don't you want it with live bullets at least?
There's a lot of
I'm
reasons
trying.
for it. You could also look at it from the other perspective of, okay, we know we're going to run the ball a lot. We want to see this offensive line in action. We want to see how this running game that we're going to lean on works in live game action, and we're going to get those reps. The Jets aren't necessarily, and this goes for every team in the preseason, they're not necessarily playing to win. Obviously, they're trying to win football games in the preseason, but they're not going out there with a game plan to win. Their game plan, their offensive script for those first 2 drives was likely drawn up because they wanted to see what reps they can get from certain players or what designs they want to try out. It wasn't necessarily, this is what we think is going to beat our opponent, which is, I think, a mindset that fans have going into those games, obviously, but the coaching staff doesn't necessarily approach these games the same way. So that's why it's really hard to take away too much from it. But yeah, I would have liked to see Justin Fields complete more than, I think it's going to end up being 4 passes before the regular season, because he had 3 completions in that first drive against the Packers, then was taken out. Then had 2 drives against the Giants where he completed his first pass and then proceeded to not complete another pass for the rest of the game. And now he's not playing this Friday against the Eagles. So yeah, I would have liked to have seen a bit more, but it's hard for me to have too many big picture takeaways. I think just overall takeaways is I wouldn't draft Garrett Wilson in fantasy this year. I don't think that Garrett Wilson
Wouldn't
is
it be
going to end up
funny if, like, after all those terrible quarterbacks he has, that Justin Fields is the one that finally dings his fantasy value?
I think it will. And I don't think it's necessarily going to be a Fields related. I mean, it's Fields related, but I don't think it's specifically because of Fields. I think it's because the offense is just going to be vastly different than offenses he's been in the past. But that's one takeaway. Second one is this defensive line depth is really bad.
Yes.
They
Very
have,
disappointed in Tyler Barron. I really thought he'd have more of an impact.
Yeah.
He's barely doing anything.
He's done nothing. Derek Notty's been a complete swing and a miss so far. Again, it's preseason, but Notty, I think right now probably doesn't make the team, and that's somebody that we thought was likely going to be their starting 1 tech going into the spring. I think right now they have 3 very good players in that defensive line room, and nobody else who, I mean, I haven't seen Byron Cowart. Apparently he had a solid showing in minicamp and did a little bit in training camp before he got hurt. We have not seen him in the preseason. I would love to see him play on Friday. I don't think he's returned to practice yet, so that's still like concerning. I wouldn't expect to see him at all in the preseason. But they have 3 guys right now who are really good, and then a bunch of dudes who I'm not even sure are rotation caliber. Jay Tufele's Linsanity run ended after 1 game. He did nothing this past week. Maybe Leonard Taylor can be something. Maybe you get something out of, Tufele. I don't know. But those are like my big picture takeaways. In terms of positive stuff, hey, Brandon Stevens looks pretty good. He had a really good pass breakup in that game. Baltimore. He's had a good summer. I think there's a few positive takeaways from Mason Taylor had a catch.
A catch.
I think Olufashinu
in the flat where he didn't even really run a full route. It was just, hey, dump off.
The Membu, bumps in the road were to be expected, but I've been really impressed with what we've seen from Olufashinu, both in the preseason and just so far in training camp. He looks like, there's a chance he's gonna be the Jets' best offensive lineman this year.
I've seen 1 rep he's lost, all through.
He's had an excellent summer to this point, so that looks good. Braylon Allen.
To be fair, it's easy to stuff Braden McGregor, but
of course. But hey, he was doing well against Abdul Carter, which I don't know if we want to talk about the Abdul Carter situation, but that was
all right. Let's talk about the Abdul Carter situation. It's a hot button topic. First off,
sure.
Wyan. Jets wide receiver news usually breaks during
True.
LOL. Yes.
It is canonically accurate.
That is part of the Jet Press lore and mythos. Yes. So
if the Jets make wide receiver moves, the bet is that it's going to be on a Wednesday between 3 and 4, just historically. So we'll be keeping an eye out for that. We're going to be talking Jets wide receivers soon. So maybe they'll make a move while we're talking.
Let's talk about Abdul Carter, because again, I don't want to get too pissy, because I wasn't that offended, because honestly, Sauce Gardner does this exact same thing where he'll be amazing for 90% of the game, and then the 1 catch for 15 yards that he allows goes viral, and it's actually, I only allowed 1. And you're right. He's right. Yeah. Abdul Carter was right. Not about the other, this is the highlight of the Jets year, but he's right in that he was playing really well in the preseason and in camp.
Yeah.
Outside of that Stone Smart chip. And he did get him when he was obviously I don't think Stone Smart's going to block Abdul Carter every single play. If you get, I get that, but it does crystallize. I can see why we always wonder about the Sauce Gardner. Why is he not viewed? By the way, he's not going to be in the top 100 because they're in the 20s.
I know.
Been revealed yet. That's embarrassing for the players.
Hilarious.
It's just players are stupid. Don't ever let someone tell you the players know ball. They don't know ball.
I think it's just going to be Quinnen for the Jets because
That's
Quincy
embarrassing.
wasn't in it, right? I didn't miss Quincy Williams being in it because Garrett's
Tua's going to be on the list and Sauce isn't. Yeah, okay, give me a break. So, like, I can see why some fans get a little irritated with Sauce doing that because I was a little irritated with Abdul Carter. I'm like, dude, but you don't need to be doing that.
Yeah.
You really don't need to be doing that for a guy who's as good as you are. And I get that he's a rookie and stuff like that, but like, I guess that's just part of the way social media culture is now, where every play, no matter how good you are, you're always going to have bad plays. Every play gets saved forever, and you can play it back immediately. And they can pause and slow-mo rewind. What was he doing? Look how we got embarrassed here. And I get why that would affect Abdul Carter, especially since apparently he was toasting every Jets offensive lineman they put. Apparently this guy Lawrence Taylor, he just beating everybody in practice like there's no tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
But Abdul, here's the lesson: like you're above Stone Smart. You don't need to be, because it wasn't like Stone Smart was like, yeah, screw you. Like you didn't do any of that. I don't know why. Oh yeah, Macho Man did up there.
He's Macho Man Randy Savage.
Listen here, Abdul. No. That's not a bad Macho Man.
No, it's not, but it was unnecessary. It was unnecessary.
I don't know why I did that, but it wasn't like he was like, hey, I'm making fun of Abdul Carter. I'm embarrassing him. He didn't do any of that. Like, just let sleeping dogs lie, man.
What's funny about it is it had the complete opposite effect of what he wanted, because I don't know. Maybe maybe I just didn't see it. I didn't see many people talking about it after the game. It was in the moment. It was like, my initial reaction was, dude, oh my God, Stone Smart just put a dude on his ass. And then I was like, oh shit, that was Abdul Carter. That's crazy. Yeah. But with those chip plays,
that would have been the end of it if he didn't.
Right.
Yeah.
With those chip plays, it's always like, he didn't see him coming. It was like he's zoned in on the offensive tackle, the man across from him. Stone Smart gives him a little chip. Like we've seen that happen to a lot of players. Hell, it's happened to Micah Parsons. I've seen it happen to Micah Parsons before.
JJ Watt, everybody.
JJ Watt. Yeah. It happens. And it's not like he got beat on the play necessarily. It's just like, keep your head on a swivel. That's really the only takeaway from that.
Or he got beat on the play, and then there's 10 other ones where he didn't get beat. Like, who cares?
But it was not really good. I think the NFL posted it to their Instagram, and that's, I think, what made Abdul Carter be like, oh, people are clowning me for this. Let me take to Twitter and talk about it. But if he didn't,
and now people are clowning you for the other thing.
Right. Now people are clowning you for calling it a weak ass block when you got put on your ass, dude. Like,
that's what happens if you can sit with a good block. Then.
Right. I don't know how you could call, like, you're calling that a weak block. That makes you look worse. I don't know how else to say it, but like, that's making you look bad. But my favorite takeaway from this, because look, ultimately it's funny, and I think having a healthy Jets-Giants rivalry is fun, even if they're not going to play.
They don't play each other, so like this,
right? My favorite tweet about it was somebody, I forget who put it on Twitter, was like Giants Twitter versus Jets Twitter every preseason, and it was a clip, like a YouTube video where it's like homeless man calling another homeless man a broke ass. I was like, yeah, pretty much. Because then it led to Giants fans be like, you're right, this is going to be the only highlight of your season. And Jets fans are like, hold on, buddy, you're right here with us. What are we talking about here? Over the last 15 years, there have been very few worse teams in professional football than the New York Jets and the New York Giants.
Not that we're in a position to talk down to any franchise in the league, really. But I do find it funny that they're like, because the whole point Jets are making is like, look, last 10 years we've both been bad. They're like, well, we won a playoff game in 2020, and then what happened?
That's the bar, like that.
And then what happened with Saquon?
Buddy, the bar should not be being better than the New York Jets. That should not.
I would argue it would have been better if they didn't make the playoffs that year, because then Jones doesn't get that contract.
Yes,
and Saquon doesn't go to the Eagles.
Probably, and then they're like, Super Bowl. You haven't won a Super Bowl since '69. I'm like, dude, I don't give a shit. I was born in 98.
Well, that's just like Yankees
right
stuff, because there's more Yankees Giants overlap than
Celtics fans touting all of the rings when there were 8 teams. It's like, okay, who gives a shit, man? Who cares?
Yeah, beat the St. Louis Hawks. Wow.
Yeah, but yeah, that Bob Pettit and the St. Louis Hawks. But yeah, that. Oh, hey, we are getting news, bro. The Jets just made a trade. Hold on.
Are you serious?
The Browns are trading a defensive tackle to the Jets, Jowon Briggs. Oh, I've heard the name. I don't know.
Jowon Briggs, yes, I believe he went to Cincinnati.
Yeah, was he like a 7th round pick of theirs or something like that? Yeah, he was. He was a 7th round pick last year.
3rd overall pick.
All right, I know nothing about what he did as a rookie. I think he probably played in a few games.
He played in 6 games and had 13 tackles.
You know why I even know anything about him? Because I was just watching the Browns preseason game the other day, and I was looking at like their depth chart, and I saw him. Like, I don't think he played in the game. I don't know, but I was looking at their depth chart. Okay,
for a 6th is something.
Yeah, so it's a swap of 2026 6th and 7th round picks. The Jets are acquiring Jowon Briggs and a 7th-round pick in exchange for a 6th-round pick. Whatever.
2.2 PFF grade on this guy.
All right, in 6
which is
games.
not bad at all.
Has he done anything in the preseason? This is funny that unfortunately with a player as low key as this, we're not going to have a ton of intel at the moment.
I remember liking him at Cincinnati. I remember.
Yeah, I know the name. That's basically he's not played actually.
You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go and try to find my 2023 or 2024 whatever scouting reports.
Sure.
I'm going to see if I wrote him up.
6'2", 297. He's played well in the preseason, actually. I just know
what does this mean though for guys like Tufele, Taylor,
right.
Noddy?
So obviously, if the Jets are trading for Jowon Briggs, that is a defensive tackle they're expecting to make the roster, which means you have, assuming
they're not trading a 6th-round pick for a guy who's not making the roster.
Assuming Cowart is healthy, Quinnen, Cowart, Briggs, Leonard Taylor, maybe they carry 5 now, and it's Jay Tufele that makes it. I would say this almost certainly seals the fate of Derek Noddy, who is on the bubble already. Guys like Fedarian Mathis, probably going to be tough for them to crack the roster. Peyton Page, probably a practice squad guy. Yeah, it on the surface looks like it's just another Jag defensive tackle, another guy, but at least he's young. At least he's only 23 years old. He's about to be 24 in a couple of weeks, so happy early birthday to him. But
I had him ranked number 287 on my big board. So
all right, so technically draftable, right, or close to it.
There's on the fringes of that,
right, on the fringe of being draftable. All right, well, there's an interesting. Look, it wasn't wide receiver news, Mike, but we get something. There's not too much to talk about here. It seems
I do agree with you that the big takeaway is Noddy is cooked.
Yeah. That's probably what it's going to be. But Briggs is rated well in the
what
preseason.
A fall from grace for that guy, man.
I'll say this. I don't know what your is he supposed to be a good run defender? Because PFF likes him as run defender.
He's undersized, like he's not 300 pounds, but I'm guessing he's more like Leonard Taylor, but like
okay, so he's a 3-tech.
A little, but it's one of those guys where in college, I think, if I remember correctly, again, this could be my mind just melding together all the other interior tackles I've watched over the years, but I remember him being used just like a traditional, like more like a 1-tech, which in college you can just get away with it more if you're an NFL level athlete.
Sure.
Like I think he's a better run defender than Taylor, but he's not the pass rusher, if I remember correctly from watching him.
What I'm going to do here is I'm going to pull up his scouting report from Dane Brugler on the Beast, because that's, I know you're like,
I bet it's going to be totally wrong. I'm remembering somebody else or something.
No, Jowon Briggs. So he was listed here at 6'1", 313.
Yeah,
I think he slimmed down a bit. He was a Virginia transfer. Then he transferred to Cincinnati, where he started 2.5 years there. Lacks ideal length, rush talent's a work in progress, but his mix of one gap quickness and power could earn him a depth. Yeah. Okay. All right. So he's not, he's an unrefined pass rusher. Never had more than 3 sacks.
I think he slimmed down to try to be a little quicker was the thought here, because he was really strong. So.
But hey now, he was on Bruce Feldman's freak list. What's this dude?
Then again, wasn't Mozzie Smith number 1 and he's terrible?
Yeah, well, he just means he's a good athlete. What's his RAS? Let's find out. Because it seems like he's nothing crazy. 7.26. Good 40-yard dash ish. Five
they
flat.
Have a type
which
for
at
the
that
defensive
size
tackles though, like 6'1", 6'2", a little over 300, a little quicker. They have a type, and Noddy is not that. So,
you know what the real test is here, test? Mike. Let me go to the Browns.
And see if they're upset about losing him.
See if Browns fans are like, "What the hell, bro?"
Well, I mean, I don't think he played enough to be like,
It's also the Jets are getting a 7th-round pick from Buffalo. Like it's
Briggs and a 7 for.
So that's gonna be one of the last. So possibly
Briggs
Mr.
and a 7 for a 6.
Yeah. So the Jets are they're going to be dropping. That's actually going to be a pretty big difference, dropping from the early to 6th round, probably to the end of the 7th.
They want this guy.
So a lot of I don't think these are Browns fans applying, because considering a few of them are just
trade
shit
Twitter,
over,
just bots.
Okay. Yeah, I guess Twitter. We've lost the ability to check that on Twitter, so that's unfortunate. Yeah.
So let's move on and talk about some wide receiver trade target. Let's try and will another trade into existence here. Because we know Darren Muji's working the phones. So looking at this, because for those of you that don't know, Diana Rossini put out a report. Diana Rossini report. It's a report that the Jets are currently monitoring the trade market for receivers, with the Vikings and the 49ers also looking around because the 49ers, Brandon Ayuk is hurt, and for the Vikings, Jordan Addison is suspended. And they really don't have a ton of depth behind Addison anyway. It's Jalen Naylor. Who cares? So if I'm looking at the Jets and who they could realistically acquire here, they're in a weird spot because with the way this offense is constructed and with the fact we don't know if Fields is going to be here for next year, I really don't know if it makes sense to give a ton of money to a guy who's going to be maybe the third target in this passing offense that isn't going to throw the ball a lot. So I don't know if I want, like, Chris Olave has been a name that a lot of guys have thrown out because another Ohio State guy just rebuild the 2020 Ohio State offense here. I don't know about that because I still think Olave is very good and he's going to ask for a lot of money. I don't think he wants to be a number 2 behind Garrett Wilson, which he would be, maybe even a number 3 behind Mason Taylor. I don't think the Saints would really want to get rid of him because even though they're rebuilding, they'd have nothing in that wide receiver room without him. So that's unreasonable in my opinion. I think the team to look for, or look at rather, and I know we've gotten burned trading with them before, especially at this position, but I'm looking at Green Bay because Green Bay uses 2 top 100 picks on wide receivers, Matthew Golden and Savion Williams. And the report on Golden especially that he's been phenomenal in training camp. He's just been completely ripping it up. So if you look at their roster, it seems that one of either Romeo Doubs or Christian Watson is going to be on his way out. Watson is, of course, recovering from a major injury, so he's probably not going to play for most of this year. If he's available, I would have no problem with giving up a pretty good pick for Romeo Doubs, like a mid-round pick for Romeo Doubs, a guy who not going to blow you away athletically, but makes some tough catches, good route runner, bigger guy, doesn't need a crazy high volume target, needs a new contract, but probably nothing crazy, probably would get under $20 million on the open market, which for a receiver with the way the receiver market's going is by no means crazy. Then you don't have to spend a premium pick in a wide receiver class that in this upcoming wide receiver draft is very unsettled. It's not particularly good. Nobody knows who the number 1 guy is. It's a big, mushy miasma right now because Jeremiah Smith isn't until next year. And Ryan Williams isn't until next year. So if I have one guy where I could just wave a magic wand and be like, that's my guy, I'm looking at Doubs because I think it's the most realistic guy that could be traded too.
Really quick on Briggs, it does seem like Browns fans very not happy that he's being traded. A lot of Browns fans were talking him up. I know I'll get to Doubs in a second. I'm sorry. But yeah, Jowon Briggs, a lot of Browns fans talking about, just seems like he was the victim of a deep defensive line room. Jets clearly liked him. That's why they made that trade. Anyway, yeah, Romeo Doubs, I've seen that name thrown around a lot. Makes a lot of sense. Fits the vibe that they're not vibe that they're going for, but the archetype, I suppose, of receiver, just in terms of being a younger player, still on his rookie contract. He was drafted 2022, right? So
yes,
he's on the last year of his rookie deal. Yes, he's on the last year of his rookie deal, so that's a complication there. I know also last year he had some issues with that Green Bay staff where he was not particularly happy with his role in the offense.
Drafting guys ahead of him, so yeah.
Right. Well, Green Bay is just what a weird wide receiver room. They just have a bunch of like.
Remember that Hawks team that won like 65 games? Yeah,
it's like that,
a bunch of B+ guys. They have like 5 wide receiver teams.
Yeah. Jaden Reed is like the premium of all of those guys, but he's not a wide receiver 1. And Christian Watson can't stay healthy. Yeah, I mean, I'd like Doubs for sure. I just wonder if the complications because of the contract situation and because of the run-ins with the coaching staff would scare off this Jets regime.
They also just signed Chris Boyd to shove the coach, so I don't.
They did, but he's also on IR.
They didn't know he was going to be on IR, but
I know, not that it means anything. But also much lower investment. Honestly, the bigger part to me is like, I don't know. I don't think, and I would be very surprised if the Jets traded any sort of asset plus, or any asset for a guy that they're going to have to pay. Like that to me feels like something that they wouldn't do. I think we're a little more so looking at like young guys they could take flyers on, like a Jowon Briggs, where it's like, okay, you have team control now for a couple of years. He's super cheap and you're not giving up a premium asset. I think that would be more what they would look at the wide receiver position. Well, also wouldn't rule out just a waiver wire target. Like Doubs makes sense. If the Jets are going to go after like an actual name, he makes sense. Another guy that's been thrown out there a lot who fits that exact same mold.
Really quick before Pierce, JJ, what about Rashid Shaheed, big play guy? I'd rather just play Arian Smith.
If New Orleans is moving him.
Rashid Shaheed.
Yeah, if New Orleans is moving him, sure. He got extended, right?
Did he
What's
get
his contract
extended?
right now? I thought he did.
Well, that'll throw a wrench into
Might be
things.
wrong.
No, he did
Oh, no, I
not.
might be
They gave him
wrong.
another deal,
No,
but
he didn't. Yeah, no, he's also got you also got to pay him too. So that's another one where just like I don't know if they're going to do that. They just paid Garrett Wilson. But the same thing with Jowon Jennings. You know, it's like it's a name, but did he get his
no,
extension already?
he got a
Or is he
contract
about to get extended?
last year. I think he got something. Then now he wants another one. Why does everyone on the
That's what it is. So
49ers always want a new contract or a trade every single year?
well, Jennings, to his credit, he outperformed
Yeah,
the
but
contract
like
significantly
Trent
last year. So
Williams,
I
Ayuk,
get it.
everybody every year.
I know. Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, I think they're more likely to target like low key guys. But Pierce also makes sense if we're looking at actual names. Alec Pierce over in Indianapolis kind of fits a similar mold to Arian Smith, where he's
Led
another
the
deep
league
threat,
in
kind of boomer
yards
bust
per
guy,
catch
limited route
last
tree.
year.
Yeah, like 22 something like yards
That's
per
what
catch, something
Anthony
crazy
Richardson
like that.
gives you, not Daniel Jones. I don't know why they did that. I know this isn't the Colts press, but I'm pressed about that.
Yeah, the Colts press. The thing about Pierce is like, you know, because I expressed this on Twitter that my hesitation, on top of the fact that he's on the last year of his deal, so you need to give him probably a new contract, and you just paid Garrett Wilson. I don't know if they want to pay another wide receiver, but I think his skill set, just like Shaheed, would make Arian Smith a little redundant on the offense. Now, Pierce is a much more proven commodity, and he's a better player overall than Arian Smith. He's a much better player in contested catch situations, whereas Arian Smith has proven is
Yeah,
not
that one
proven that
camp
he's able
highlight, and that
to
was it.
consistently. Yeah, contested catch situations is not Arian Smith's forte. Alec Pierce can do that. He's a deep threat, but he could also catch the ball in contested situations. Limited route tree, kind of a boomer bust guy. There's a lot of games in Indy where he'll have like 0 catches, 1 catch, but then he'll explode and go, 3 catches for 105 yards. Like that's an Alec Pierce stat line. But that's a name to keep an eye on. If like again, I don't think they go after guys like that. So another few names that I would throw out there just maybe as like keep an eye on them. This one is going to be polarizing. I understand the nature of
That's
it.
never good when
I
you
am
load up a
still
take like that.
I am still a Deontay
Oh, no
Johnson
way,
believer.
no
Okay.
way. How could you
I
be a Deontay
understand.
Johnson
And here,
believer in big
hold
2025?
on. Hold on. Let me preface this by saying I don't expect this to happen. I fully understand the nightmare of a 2024 season that he just had due to his own shortcomings, due to his own character concerns. He got kicked out of Carolina. He got kicked out of Baltimore.
Kicked out of Houston.
He got kicked out of Houston. I get it. And I also have been following his summer this year because I'm still holding on to him in Dynasty. I'm about to drop him probably, but I've been holding on to him in my Dynasty league. He is not having a great summer. He's likely going to get beaten out by Jamari Thrash for the wide receiver 3 job in Cleveland.
Jesus.
And there's a good chance he's cut. But I'm just throwing his name out there as hey, I believe in this dude's talents. I understand the character concerns. Maybe with the proper coaching staff, they believe they can, he's a reclamation
Wait a
project
minute, though.
for
Mr.
dirt cheap.
Allen Lazard dropsies, Arian Smith dropsies now wants Deontay Johnson.
Right. The difference is that Deontay Johnson is like one of the best separated. I mean, I don't know if he is anymore, but from like 2019 to 2023 was like top 3 in the NFL in terms of separation rate amongst wide receivers. Like he is like
and still
premier separator. Drops are an issue. The drops are an issue. And that's normally a big red flag for me, but if you could separate like that, if you can get open, you can get open. So that would be my Deontay
Coming
Johnson.
To the Jets wouldn't help him in your dynasty fantasy league.
Absolutely not. No, it would not. Brian, I'm going to probably drop him anyway. I do this weird thing in my dynasty league where I don't roster a kicker or a defense for most of the offseason. And then I kind of just have my own roster cuts at the end of the summer, which is kind of fun. Deontay Johnson is on the chopping block. One other name I will throw out there for you again, Mike. And this is not a big name. These are not guys who would move the needle necessarily much, but I just don't think they're going to be targeting the big names. Keep an eye on Curtis Samuel, who's over in Buffalo right now. I think there's a decent chance he's going to get cut. Tyrell Shavers is at a really good camp. Elijah Moore is in the mix. They brought in Gabe Davis. If they sign Gabe Davis, yeah, I think that Curtis Samuel is almost definitely going to get cut. I could see a situation where, maybe it's a sort of thing like this where the Jets swap 2027 late day 3 picks, or maybe even Samuel's cut and the Jets pick him up in the free agent market. I don't know, but that's somebody who, again, I don't think he moves the needle too much. He's I don't know. How old is he now? 30? Is he 30,
Oh, God, is
31?
he really 30?
How old is he?
Feels like
I
if
think he
he's like
is,
one of those
right?
guys who's
He's
just
been in the league since
perpetually on
2017.
his rookie contract.
He is. Oh, he turned 29 9 days ago.
Happy birthday, Curtis
Curtis
Samuel.
Samuel.
New York guy,
But
Brooklyn
yeah,
guy.
he's been in the league since 2017.
You know, one guy that
He
I
is,
think
yeah. He's been in the league since 2017. Didn't really do a ton.
Gentlemen,
Sure,
says Mike Zimmelman. I do like
What's one
Mike's
guy you
idea to
think?
get after Dobbs. He won't make the biggest impact, but
Okay.
Sterling Shepard could be a nice buy low guy with Tampa's wide receiver depth.
Oh, yeah.
I just don't know where.
That's
I just
another
don't know why you would.
him and Shepard would
Like
fit that, or him and
he'd
Samuel would
be
fit that
okay.
same
I
thing.
just don't know if like he'd be okay. I just don't know. Like if you're gonna get a veteran, you want somebody that I think
Sure.
would probably unseat Reynolds as wide receiver too. Like Shepard, I don't know if he does that right now.
Him and Samuel, I think, would fill that same role of just veteran depth slot receiver. Like I neither of them are going to be starting, at like an X receiver position. It's likely going to be Josh Reynolds and Garrett. I mean, well, going into the year, I've been assuming they were going to have Garrett Wilson play a lot of the slot, and then have Reynolds and Lazard, if he's still the guy, or Tyler Johnson or whoever, kind of being the more outside guys. If you were to make a pickup like a Samuel or a Shepard, I imagine they'd get more time in the slot. Look, again, these are not the names I'm sure Jets fans want to hear. I put Chris Olave in the thumbnail, by the way, so we can talk about him, because that's a name that I think a lot of Jets fans want to hear about.
Yeah, I don't think that'll.
I just would be stunned if they did it. But imagine the Ohio State connection there. Justin Fields with his two Ohio State receivers.
That would be Fields, Josh Myers.
Yep.
Wilson, Olave, Ruckert. That's 5.
Yep. 5 players.
That's half the starting offense.
Yeah.
Samuel wasn't on that team. What am I talking about?
No, but he was Ohio State. Curtis Samuel
was Ohio State.
This is years before that, but yeah.
We got to sign Benjamin Victor and Johnny Dixon at this point. If you remember those guys.
Who'd you say?
Benjamin Victor and
Johnny Dixon. Benjamin Victor. He bounced around with like the Giants and Ravens, I remember. Benjamin.
All right, Brian Sternbeck, there was some faulty audio, but I think we got it fixed.
Yeah, I noticed you were on delay, I think. I don't know.
I was on delay? Okay.
Or it might have been my end. I don't know, man.
Probably because I have 62 tabs open. That's probably
that would probably do it. But yeah, those are names. Chris Olave, I know people are going to talk about. What
about this, though? I think I got one for you.
Okay.
Who is a veteran who'd probably be wide receiver too.
I think I know who you might talk about.
Would not cost an arm and a leg.
Okay.
Probably wants to go to a contender at this point in his career, but I think they could probably work out something for him here.
I think I know who you're going to talk about, but say it.
It's Adam Thielen.
Oh, that's not where I thought you were going. Oh, I was on delay. Damn it. Well, that's
well. I think it's Adam Thielen because
interesting.
I think Carolina they have Tetero McMillan, they have Xavier Legette, they really like Jalen Coker.
Legette. I don't. Do they even like Legette at this point? I feel
they like him supposedly. Okay, do they not like him? Have you heard they don't?
He's had a rough summer. I think his stock is falling. Jalen Coker's still there too. They like Jalen Coker.
Well, yeah, and then they got Tet, who's going to be their top guy. Thielen, I don't think Carolina. Like I know he probably want to go to a contender at this point. The Jets might be worse than Carolina this year, but the Carolina has, for the first time in a while, more receivers than they know what to do with. I think Thielen is not going to cost a lot. I think he's better than Josh Reynolds right now. I think there's a chance you get him for one more year, and then if you reboot with Fields, you get like another guy who could be a veteran target for insert rookie quarterback, Lenore Sellers, Arch Manning, Drew Aller, whoever that may be.
Right.
I would not hate that move, because one thing that you've seemed to have brought up was we were talking about these receivers. Well, if you just paid Garrett Wilson, do you want to pay another receiver big money? So you could say that, though, for any of the guys like Dobbs or anything like that.
Yep.
Who are on the. So if you want to take that out of the equation, as JJ says, Thielen can still ball. He's solid.
Yeah.
I always thought he was kind of overrated in Minnesota. Like I thought that he wasn't as good as the numbers always kind of made him seem, but he's certainly a solid number 2 guy right now, and I think the Jets could use him.
Yeah, I think that's a good shout. I haven't heard anyone mention him. Again, it's like how much of an upgrade do you think he is over your current guys? I do think he's absolutely an upgrade. What would you be willing to give for him? What would they want to take in, to trade him? Like, what would they accept for him? I don't really know. I don't know if he's actually on the block at all, but it does make sense. They have a lot of young receivers in that receiver room that they like. And if they want to see a guy like Jalen Coker maybe step up and take along a larger role, and they are confident in Leggett and Ted McMillan. Am I missing someone? They have David Moore in that room, I think. I don't know if I'm missing anyone else. But yeah, maybe I could see it. I thought you were going to say Jacoby Myers, because
that's the other big one. But again, he needs a new deal.
Of all of
honestly, here's the thing though. Who do you think gets more money on the open market, Olave or Jacoby Myers?
It depends on what happens this year. I know
it's
that's
pretty similar, so I don't know. So if you don't want Olave for that, you could probably say the same about Jacoby Myers.
Olave is better and younger, but I mean, I think Jacoby Myers is one of the most underrated wide receivers in football. I don't think he dropped a single pass last year. Had 87 catches, over 1,000 yards. He's a good player.
With a black hole at quarterback.
Right. That is who the Jets should have signed. Like, him and Lazard got basically the exact same contracts back in 2023. I think Lazard had one more year, but they're both got like 11 mil a year. That's who the Jets should have signed.
I mean, at the time, was it that ridiculous?
Yeah. I mean, no, but yeah. Like, Myers was absolutely better than Lazard at that time. We were. I mean, I think we were higher on Lazard than he ended up being, obviously. But
I feel like nobody expected
this.
But
I was like, Lazard's a 3. Lazard is a wide receiver 3, was my take about him going into the year. Myers, I think, is a wide receiver 2. And I don't know if I was saying that then, but now at this point, like, again, over 1,000 yards last year. Once again, entering the final year of his deal. Vegas is not trying to necessarily lose games this year. They are trying to win. They have kind of a limited window, I guess. If you look at the quarterback situation, you look at who their head coach is.
Pete Carroll's 75 years old. Exactly. He can't be rebuilding.
So they are trying to win. So I'm not sure why they would trade him. But look, if you're reading the tea leaves, if you've been keeping an eye on Vegas right now, there's been talks about, hey, are they going to extend Jacoby Myers? They've asked Jacoby Myers about it, and he's been like, I'm not sure what the future holds. That's kind of been his response. And they also just drafted 3 wide receivers. One of them was a converted college quarterback, but still, that's a lot of capital that they just spent at the wide receiver position. I could see it. I could see them moving him. And if that, like, look, if they bring in Jacoby Myers, that's somebody, he's only 28, I think. I'm absolutely comfortable giving him another contract. If you have Garrett and Jacoby Myers, that is a damn good wide receiver 1 and wide receiver 2. I don't care who wide receiver 3 is.
And then they're going to be running the wishbone.
Right. I mean, I don't know if they want to invest a lot of money in that wide receiver 2 position as well, given what their offense currently is.
That's the riddle of the Jets. It's like they're not going to throw the ball a lot, so why pay? It's like a chicken or the egg kind of thing, where it's like, well, they're not going to throw the ball a lot, so why pay a wide receiver 2 big money? But also, they're not going to throw the ball a lot because they don't have a good wide receiver 2. It's Josh Reynolds right now, so don't throw the ball 40 times a game. So it's like which comes first kind of thing. As JJ says, how about we actually hit on a second or third round wide receiver for once? No, that's what other teams do. We're not other teams. We're the Jets.
Would be nice.
Brian Sternbeck, slightly outside the box idea, not necessarily wanted support. Quincy and a 6th to Atlanta for Ray McLeod. That is a huge lost trade for the Jets.
I think my audio is on delay again, by the way, because every time I click,
is it fine on my end?
Okay, every time I click off my damn, I have 2 tabs open or 3 tabs open.
Do we have to get Optimum back on the?
Back
on the horn.
I think this is my Mac is getting old problem, but either way, Ray McLeod.
I'm not
a bit. I mean, he had what, like 600? He had like 600 something yards last year. Ray McLeod. It was like his only year where he was actually like a genuine offensive contributor. He's really just a return man, small dude, very, he's exclusive to the slot. And if this Jets team wants receivers that can block, I don't think Ray McLeod is going to be that guy. He's too small for that, but it's a name.
Well, I mean, it's not my receiver wearing 34. That's my problem.
Hey, Quentin
Skinner's got to get him like a real number.
So I agree. 30 is for wide receivers.
JJ, this wide receiver room is just plain awful. It is pretty bad.
It's pretty bad. But here's the thing. Again, and this is why, unless you are going for like a Jacoby Myers, like, I don't really see the reason to bring in a Curtis Samuel or a Deontay Johnson or whoever, right? Unless you're going to actually get an upgrade, because like, what do you gain from giving Curtis Samuel snaps instead of Brandon Smith? Nothing. Is Brandon Smith worse than Curtis Samuel
in the modern NFL? I know Aaron Glenn had that quote about, the Eagles won, running the ball a lot, but the Eagles also had AJ Brown, Devontae Smith. They didn't have Josh Reynolds. So.
Well, yeah. So if they're going to do that, then they're going to make an actual like sizable addition. But then the counter argument to that is, do you really want to give up genuine draft capital that you can use for the future of this, to build the future of this roster, to bring in somebody who, I mean, they might end up being a rental, or if it's not a rental, now you're investing a lot of money in the wide receiver position in an offense that
They
you
might be
don't
the
plan to
third
run very much,
target
or plan
behind
to throw the ball very much.
Mason Taylor.
Right. So there's a lot, like, I don't think there's a correct answer here. I'm just going to give what I think they're going to do, and that's going to be to go cheap. I don't think they're going to spend significant assets. I don't think they're going to give up significant draft capital for a wide receiver. Maybe I'm wrong. It's possible. Again, knowing this podcast, it's possible right after this they trade for Romeo Dobbs or whoever, and I'm like, oh well, okay, there we go. But I just don't think, as Brian is saying, I'm kind of on team wide receivers don't matter much this year anyway. Yeah, I think the
Garrett
Jets
Wilson
are on
matters,
that team
but...
as well. Now the question, besides Garrett Wilson, the question is though, Justin Fields probably isn't the long-term answer in New York. We know that. We're not going
what's going to happen though
if
he's bad. Josh Reynolds is a wide receiver too. We didn't have anybody to throw. That's going to happen. What I fully expect to happen, because we've laid this out as like such an obvious by the book plan of, oh well, if Justin Fields stinks, then you just move on and draft the quarterback. Great, easy. It's not that easy. It's never that easy with the Jets. Justin Fields is going to flash. He's going to show enough upside, but also show that he probably still has the same limitations he's always had as a passer. And we're going to go into the offseason of, hey, he's going to play just good enough to make it really frustrating for a debate.
Correct. And we're going to split half the fan base again, because it wouldn't be a Jets offseason without the entire fan base being split on the quarterback position. It's going to happen. That's what I'll give Rodgers credit for. At least for a while, we were all in on, he is the starting quarterback, and there's no challenger. Like, for exactly one offseason. And look what fools we look like after that. Yeah. Over the last 5-6 years, there's been, I think, like 2 offseasons where there hasn't been a debate about the quarterback position. We knew it was Zach. 2022, because it was like we knew it was gonna be Zach. That's it. Yeah. 2024. That's it. Since 2019, 2020, those are the only 2 years. Yeah, I guess maybe heading into Darnold's, like the second and third years of Darnold, and then rewarded us our confidence in him by sucking. 2 more from JJ before we move on to the next topic. Teams will stack the box and double Wilson. What happens after that? Teams won't let Wilson beat them when we don't have any other good wide receiver. Which is why I said do not. But also, they didn't have any. I mean, they had Devontae at the end of last year, but like for most of Garrett's tenure, he hasn't had great number twos. You're right. Yeah, you're right. I just think the offense is going to be running very differently, and I think you're going to have Mason Taylor there to hopefully eat up some of those targets. If the Jets are honest, they're going to try and get their running backs involved too. Which Breece Hall, by the way, has had quite a few drops this summer. Supposedly, I think that's kind of got a little under-mentioned. Well, supposedly, I'm looking at my window right now. Well, I'm pouring, just over. I mean, just over the course of training camp, like he's had some drop issues. Which, look, man, he had 6 fumbles last year, 9 drops, led the team in drops, more than Allen Lazard. Needs to clean that up. Desperately needs to clean that up. Like Breece, I need you. Aaron Glenn's a really good coach, but also like I like what he's doing, but also if the Jets did that like hire Rex Ryan thing and he had this whole like we're run first and Josh Reynolds is part, people would be filleting him. I feel like too. So as much as I like Glenn, and Glenn I think is gonna be a really good coach and a good hire, like you can't be that far into the ground and pound at this point. Brian said, I'd consider a UDFA rookie showing he belongs on a team after this year to be a win. Not Jason Brownlee fake type, like a real, No. By the way, Jason Brownlee's killing it in Chiefs training camp, and he might make that roster. I know. He's Jason Brownlee is the Jerry Rice of training camps. Look, I will continue. I've been banging this drum, beating the table. What is the phrase? You beat a drum and you bang a table. You don't bet. You don't beat a table. That's what it is. I was like, beat a table doesn't make any sense. No one. Why would anyone say that? There was an old high. That reminds me. There was not to compare you to a guy who can't read, but I remember Dexter Manley once had a. Dexter Manley once had as Austrian Jet fan returns. Hey, shout out Austrian Jets fan. Hello. What's up, buddy? Dexter Manley, the old Washington star, he was always trash talk the other quarterback, and he's talking about Joe Montana in one game, and he goes, I'm going to go and ring Joe Montana's clock. And Al Michaels like, no, you clean a guy's clock or you ring his bell. You don't ring his clock. I could see how he would get
I
confused
mean, he
there.
couldn't
I mean,
read, so
speaking
yeah.
from someone who just said bang,
Yeah,
but
but
you
you
bang
don't
a drum.
yeah, but you don't bang it. You bang the table for
You
something.
don't.
You don't
You're
beat a
right. You don't.
table.
But you don't beat a
Beat is
table.
like,
You don't
listen,
beat a
table,
table.
but like you
That's
don't do
probably.
that. Like
No. Anyway, I was saying that I've been banging the table and beating the drum for Brandon Smith since last summer. I think Brandon Smith should make this 53-man roster. I think he does everything that Alan Lazard can do at this point outside of being as good of a blocker, but I don't think he's a liability in that area at all. He is physical enough to do it. I think Brandon Smith should be on this 53-man roster. And if he can somehow carve out a role in this offense and you go into next year where, you got a guy like him under contract and for very cheap, that's the win. Because as we've been talking about, the goal of this coaching staff this year is going to be to find diamonds in the rough. We saw it so much with Robert Saleh's staff on defense that they found diamonds in the rough with Jamie Sherwood was a 5th-round pick converted safety. Quincy Williams was off the scrap heap, a waiver wire. John Franklin Myers was a waiver wire pickup. Tony Adams was a UDFA. The list goes on. There's so many names. Bryce Huff was a UDFA, technically not a solid pickup, but solid developed them. Like, I want to see this staff do that on offense. I want to see Tyler Johnson become somewhat of a player. I want to see Andrew Beck become a player. Like, guys like that who, Robert Saleh would consistently turn into to make the defense what is the phrase? Is greater than
as
the sum of its
Austrian
parts.
Jet fan,
That's what you want to see with the
20
offense.
Jet Press memberships.
Oh my goodness!
You are
Austrian
a
Jets
god
fan.
among
You
men,
are the
Austrian
man.
Jet fan. We very much appreciate the
Austrian
support.
Jets
Thank
fan,
you
you are the
so
man.
much. You are wonderful, Austrian Jet fan.
What a guy! Once again, shout out Innsbruck.
I've been to Salzburg, and Salzburg is beautiful.
There we go. Amazing. Yeah, as Brian said, something more akin to Vincent Smith. Not that he was a rookie when he came to the Jets. Yeah, someone like that. But even more so, like I want to see, I don't even know if the bar should be Vincent Smith or Jeff Smith or whoever. Like I want to see Tyler Johnson be an actual wide receiver 3. He's never been that in his career. I want to see him do that this year. I want to see Andrew Beck be a featured player, not a featured player in this offense. Let's calm down. But like a contributor, a solid contributor in this offense that we can go into next year and say, hey, maybe he can even have a role next season.
Shout out
as well.
Austrian Jet fan. So this next segment is dedicated to Austrian Jet fan in Vienna.
He said, yeah, he said,
we do have to visit
we got to
Vienna.
visa Vienna, man. I did not get to go to Vienna.
We need a lot of memberships to afford a Lufthansa flight, but yeah.
Ryanair. No, we're going Ryanair. We're not going Lufthansa.
Ireland, isn't it?
We're going Ryanair.
Ireland, Ryanair?
Huh?
Oh, it is? Oh, okay.
No, it's all Europe. That's the spirit of Europe,
so,
Ryanair.
Let's go talk some Breece Hall because Aaron Glenn has, I don't know why people keep asking Aaron Glenn this because he said about in 10 different ways we are not trading Breece Hall. He did have a funny quote after the exchange with the reporter about offenses that are run heavy, where he talked about how we have 3 really good backs and I want to use all 3 of them. I wish we had more than 3, but we don't. I'm like, oh, poor Donovan Edwards, man, because poor Donovan Edwards. But the Breece trade talk is not going to go away. And it's not going to go away for 2 reasons. Obviously, the financial, you got to pay him, yada, yada, yada. We've discussed that ad infinitum on past shows too. And there are guys that flash in the preseason. They don't live up to the regular season. Jason Brownlee. But the Braylon Allen improvement, Isaiah Davis too, but Braylon Allen especially has looked so much better than I think he did his rookie year. Like, if you just go purely take the results out of it, no results-based business, but just aesthetically, like watch Braylon Allen on some of these runs, man. There's power, there's a great, he's fast, he's running over dudes. That was always the problem with him at Wisconsin. Was he was that big, he didn't run like he was that big. He was shifting and juking. I'm like, run a guy over, you're Braylon Allen, or 240. Now he's doing that. And with Breece, I think putting together an okay camp. Not a good camp, but an okay camp. There's still the drop issues, as Justin alluded to. He hasn't really separated from Braylon Allen. Allen has risen, but Breece has kind of stayed like here-ish, not really taken off with him. The trade possibilities, I think, getting more real by the day. I still don't think it'll happen. I still think Aaron Glenn wants this committee with Fields mixed in there too, because Fields is going to be running for a ton of yards. But if Allen gets off to a hot start, I mean, it's gonna pop up again, whether he likes it or not.
I think Breece has been their third
behind Davis or behind Edwards.
I think behind Davis, behind Braylon Allen and Isaiah Davis, and a lot of it is just the ball security issues are rearing their ugly head again. And I don't think he's looked particularly impressive in the preseason, and I have not heard particularly amazing things coming out of training camp. it's a big year for Breece Hall. We've talked about this a lot. The range of outcomes is just so wide with him. We've seen him perform at the level of one of the best running backs in football. Hell, I cite this a lot, but in that ESPN ranking that they do where they poll execs, coaches, and scouts around the league, a year ago at this time, going into 2024, he was polled as the number 2 running back in the entire NFL behind
ahead of
Christian
Derrick
McCaffrey.
Henry, ahead of
That
Saquon.
was the consensus. Yes, that was the consensus opinion from NFL decision makers. A year later, we're talking about
Isaiah Davis
saying, hey,
really giving him a run for his money, man. That's what we're saying.
Right. The 2 day 3 rookies from last year are better than him. This summer. Nick asked in chat, do you guys do call-ins? We found a chat. We don't do call-ins like Jake Asbin. I know he does that a lot, but you can chat.
There is something I've always wanted to experiment with that could lead to that. That's in development. Ooh. But for right now, August 20th, chat away.
Determined. Chat away. We will do our best. We do our best to respond to pretty much every chat. Brian said this. Sorry, Brian. Tyler Johnson, 70.
Except that
I have to follow through on that. I have to follow through on it. Yes, he listed Tyler Johnson's numbers in 7 games with more than 20 offensive snaps. Yeah, look, again, I'd like to see him be a genuine wide receiver 3 this year. But it's kind of crazy to see what's happened with Breece Hall. I think a trade is increasingly likely. It's likely not going to happen before the season. Aaron Glenn has been extremely transparent with his messaging this summer, which I very much appreciated. It feels very non-coach speaking.
I respect him forever just for that. There's no like vague BS in the air. He's like, this guy is hurt. He will be out for this amount of time. This guy is the backup. This guy is the this. Not I know. Well, we're working through some things and we got to see where everybody's at. None of that. That's refreshing.
Yes. Everything he's saying, that you can basically take what he's saying at face value. He's not going to lie to you. And if he's being secretive about something, it's because he probably doesn't know the answer to it yet. Like when it's like, who's the start? Exactly. But yes, I think a Breece Hall trade is probably increasingly likely at this stage, but I don't think it's not going to happen before the season starts. Just keep an eye on it as we get into the regular season, especially. I will say this too, by the way. And I guess this kind of transitions into our last topic. If you want, do you have anything to add on the Breece thing?
No, let's go and talk about guys who could earn a roster spot.
Okay, because this transitions into this. Isaiah Davis is dealing with an ankle injury right now, and he is not practiced since that. I think you heard it in the first preseason game. He's not practiced since then. Rich Cimini reported today that he's still kind of walking around with a slight limp and speculated that he could be a candidate for the short-term IR to begin the season. And if that's the case, well, I can imagine a player like Donovan Edwards possibly making a push for one of those final roster spots if Isaiah Davis is not on the 53 to begin the year. So I think this Friday, if we're looking ahead to this Friday's game against the Eagles preseason finale, this is a golden opportunity for him to make his final case to prove that he deserves a roster spot. Because right now, Breece, assuming he's not traded, which we think he won't be before the season, Breece, Braylon Allen, Isaiah Davis are locks for the 53. Davis, if he's healthy. Kenny Nwangwu is likely a lock for the 53 at this point. I don't want to say like a lock, but I would say pretty firm handling on a roster spot as a kick returner. It'll depend if Isaiah Davis is on IR to start the year. If Edwards is making it, will depend on 2 things. It'll depend on 1, if the Jets feel comfortable giving Kenny Nwangwu snaps at running back, because I imagine they'd have
even when
to
he
do
was
that
drafted. I remember by Minnesota, they basically said this is just for kick returner, raw ball of athlete stuff.
Now he got a good amount of reps in the preseason at running back, and I thought he looked pretty solid. But it'll depend on that, and it'll depend on how impressed they are by Donovan Edwards. And that's why coming into Friday's game, there are, I think, few players in the roster with more to lose or more to gain.
I think the defensive tackle room is what I'm watching, or the defensive line in general, because still very unsettled right now. Obviously, before we came on the show, we didn't know that Jowon Briggs would be on the roster. Now he is. And I think he's got a 53-man spot, because you don't do that trade for no, like, this isn't a flip a guy conditional 7th that when he's about to get cut and they go, oh, maybe he'll make the thing. That's not what this is. They sought him out. We want a 6th round. I don't want to make it sound like a 6th round pick is, King's jewels here, but it's something that, of some value.
Yeah. And they got a 7th back, but it's likely to be at the end of the 7th round because it's the Bills pick. And I imagine that 6th round pick's probably gonna be pretty high. So that's like
a 70 big, spot jump
spot
or a 60
to fall
spot jump. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's late in the draft.
So
but still, it's not nothing.
If Briggs is making the roster, I assume right now Coward is. I assume right now Leonard Taylor is.
Yep.
That's really the only locks, I think.
That's 4. I wouldn't say like Coward. I think we don't know what his health is. He could be a
Oh
candidate
god,
to
who
begin the year on
starts then?
IR. And Taylor, Jowon Briggs. Hello, welcome to starting
JT
lineup.
Fele? Probably JT Fele.
And probably Taylor right now. I wouldn't say Taylor's a lock, but I think
he
he's
is.
like 70% probably gonna make it. I think he's a 70%. Like I would be surprised if he was cut at this point.
And again, we
But I
mentioned
don't think he's a
before
lock.
Derek Notty's probably on his way out. He's got a chance to redeem himself. He better play. I know he's won some Super Bowls. You better play the game of your life outside of those Super Bowls. Otherwise, you're going to have the embarrassing distinction of being cut by a team who signed you to be the DT2 1 year after leaving a dynasty, and now you're not even good enough for the rinky-dink New York Jets.
Dude, I was seeing some of those reps, man. He's Al Woods as a pass rusher.
But he's not as big as Al Woods, so he doesn't stuff the run like Al Woods.
Yeah, he is Al Woods, like that level of incompetence as a pass
Which
rusher.
he wasn't like that early with the. I mean, he was
trade.
never great, but I mean,
no, he's older now, I guess.
Time makes fools of us all, does it not? The other thing too, I'm looking at is the wide. I mean, we talked about the wide receiver room specifically because obviously now Corley he's done. He's not got a shot. Mm-hmm. I really did. Is there a chance they have 2 undrafteds make it, or because I think of the 3 undrafteds right now, there are 3 undrafteds that are getting reps: Brandon Smith, Quentin Skinner.
Yeah, Smith is weird because he's not he's been in the NFL since like 2021.
Yeah. So
he was went pro.
Guys with no NFL experience, like outside of practice squad stuff.
Yeah. Hey. Smith played in 1 game and appeared in 1 snap last year. So watch yourself.
Yeah, Smith, Quentin Skinner, Jamal Pritchett. They're all competing for roster spots. And really, none of them have had a performance where you're like, oh, that was it. They blew it. Like, I keep waiting for one of them to blow it, and it never happens. Mm-hmm. We know that there are 4 locks, pretty much. Wilson, Reynolds, Arian Smith, Tyler Johnson, in whatever order that ends up shaking out.
Yeah, I think Lazard.
That's a bit of a change from a couple weeks ago.
If he's healthy,
because I remember a couple weeks ago, you're like, I think Lazard's not making it.
Because I think I put him on the IR.
So if Lazard's not healthy, though,
I based on reading the tea leaves, if he's healthy, unless he's traded, I don't think they're going to cut him. I think actually financially, it would not make sense for them to cut him. So maybe they just find a trade partner. Hello, Pittsburgh, right?
As Brian Sternbeck says, if Lazard is on IR, probably a given. Gibson is in this. Gibson's probably gone, but also.
I don't want to say that definitively. I don't want to say it definitively, but right now, I think it's Jamal Pritchett's job to lose. Pritchett has just had a better summer all around than Gibson. He's shown more as a receiver in camp. He has shown more as a return man. He's only, I think, muffed 1 punt from what I remember. Unless Gibson has a huge preseason game, which I believe he just returned from his shoulder injury.
So I still think ranking those 3, it's Brandon Smith, then Pritchett, then Skinner in terms of likeliness to make the roster.
I think I'd give Pritchett the odds
because the return value
over Smith right now. Just because he has a clear role that he fills. Brandon Smith, it's like, I think he is one of the 53 best players in this team. I think he deserves to make the roster. I just don't know if the Lazard situation is going to be a thing. Like, I think if Lazard is healthy and there, as Brian said, if the Jets were to release,
they would have done
it
too because he $2 million just to hang around. Stuff.
Right, exactly. So I think it makes more sense to trade him
Steelers.
If you could find anybody willing to take
Packers again. Hackett's back there.
What I mean, it's not like it's true. They did redo his contract. I don't think requiring him would cost much for a team acquiring him in a trade. But I think that would be I think it's either IR 53 spot for him or he's traded. I don't think he's outright cut. But I would love to see Brandon Smith make it. Skinner, I mean, he's had a hell of a summer. He's making a late push. I think he's a practice squad guy. I think Skinner.
I just wonder if he's one of those guys where I don't think he's going to make it through waivers entirely, which I'm afraid of. And I'm not definitely afraid of losing Quentin Skinner, but I would prefer to keep him.
Yeah, I think he will because I don't think he has enough. I mean, it depends if he goes for 100 yards on Friday.
He does his best Ryan
maybe that changes everything. Yeah, or Victor Cruz or whatever. Like if he has an incredible preseason finale, then maybe it's different. But right now, I don't think he's done enough in the preseason to get all the eyes on him. He had the highlight reel catch last Saturday. And also, I think teams will look at it as, boy, he couldn't make that wide receiver room. All right. I think there is some of that, that talk, right? Where it's like, oh, if a guy can't make an amazing wide receiver room. I couldn't think of an example off that. What's like the best wide receiver
Bengals,
room in
maybe?
football right now? The Bengals. Yeah. If you can't make the Bengals wide receiver room, okay, that's one thing. If you can't make the Jets wide receiver room, all right, maybe you're not as good, right? So maybe it could be a situation like that. I would feel moderately confident they can get him back on the practice
JJ
squad,
says,
right?
"Take your time, Lazard." LOL.
Yeah, I agree. Vikings need a receiver, Brian said. Jets could deal him Lazard in a young third round pick from last
If
year if they
somebody
want.
gives them
Hell, if they want
anything other
Malachi
than
Corley,
just
they could
a
take
bag of cheese doodles for Malachi Corley, you take that.
that is the biggest fleece. That's the biggest fleece of all time because that's also like they're going to take on dead cap by doing this because he's still got
That's
a
like
couple more years of rookie contract.
when the Nets
So if you
traded
find
Kyle
it,
Korver for a copy machine. He was like a
I
second
don't
round
know that
pick, and then they
story. I do
traded
not
him
know that story.
to I forget who was it, the
Yeah,
Sixers or for cash, and then they used the cash to buy a new copier for the
right.
office. So we got traded for a
That
copy
is really
machine.
funny. That is really funny. Yeah, if they get any asset at all for Malachi Corley, or even just find a taker to take him for free, like that would be an accomplishment at this stage. I want to shout out one more player before we end this stream. I want to look at a defensive side of the ball and a guy who I don't think has gotten his due, who is very much fighting for one of those final roster spots, but I think over the last few days was kind of given a lifeline. I want to talk about Jark Bernard
I just
Converse
assumed he was
because
done.
I think
Honestly.
Jark Bernard Converse, much like we were talking about with Brandon Smith, Jark Bernard Converse, I feel very confidently saying is one of the 53 best players in this roster. I would go even higher than that probably. He's just unfortunately in a very loaded cornerback room, which, even though they've made some offseason changes to that position group, it is still a very stacked position. Sauce Gardner, Brandon Stevens, Michael Carter, Quantez Stiggers and Azareye'h Thomas are all locks for the 53-man roster. Assuming Azareye'h Thomas, which is healthy, which I believe he returned to practice yesterday, I think it was yesterday. So he should be healthy for week 1. I don't expect him to be playing. There'll probably be a healthy scratch, but he will be on the 53-man roster. So that's 5 guys right there.
With a little bit of trivia, Justin. You know why? Because the Jets Eagles are playing the preseason. I was at the preseason game where the Jets lost 14-6, and Christian Hackenberg went 11 of 31 for 54 yards with an interception. And it was the worst game I've ever seen a quarterback play live. I don't think that's
okay. I love how you're
just no, because I agree with you on Jark Bernard Converse. And we're running short on time. That's
okay.
Why.
I wasn't. No, we
right.
Hey, let me finish my point
right.
before the trivia. Hold on. Let me get my spiel out about
Jark spiel was out.
No, it wasn't out. It was only half out. I think he should make the 53-man roster. This is a big game for him because every time he has been on the field, he has impressed. Now, missed half of his first year with the team, was hurt for the summer, so he missed the first 7 8 games of the year, whatever it was. Came back 2024 preseason, was one of their best players. I believe he was their highest graded PFF defensive player in the preseason last year. Missed the first preseason game this year due to an undisclosed medical issue, is what they called it. They didn't even call it an injury, so I don't know what happened there. But he comes back last week. I just had his numbers in front of me, but he had a fantastic game against the Giants. 87.2 PFF grade, including an 85.2 coverage grade, was targeted twice, allowed 1 catch for 5 yards, also led the team with 3 run stops. Jark Bernard Converse is an excellent cover corner, a very solid tackler. The issue is he doesn't really contribute too much on special teams, which when you're fighting for one of those final roster spots,
Justin Hardy designated special teams guy on the roster.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Boyd,
well, they might have. So that brings me to the other thing is what I was going to say is I think Chris Boyd's injury, which is unfortunate. You never want to be like, oh, this is a good thing, right? But I think there's a silver lining to Chris Boyd's injury right, where Boyd is now out for the season. The Jets signed him to kind of be that 6th corner / top gunner, top special teams ace. He's now out for the season. I think that opens a roster spot for a guy like JBC, like Bernard Converse, to potentially make this team. I want to see him ball out on Friday because I think if he has another really good performance, it's going to get to a point where it's like, how do you not have this guy in the 53? Even if he's a healthy scratch, How the hell do you not have him on the 53? Because if you're
Just want
asking
him
me,
on
Mike,
because he's a friend of the show.
I think he's a better corner. I did interview with Jarquin on Converse like a week before the Jets
And
drafted
Carter
him. That is
Warren.
true, but that is not why. This is not. We don't have paid propaganda. Hey,
Yeah,
I don't
he's
want
not,
Carter
yeah.
Warren should not make this team. I'm not gonna lie. He's a friend of the show, but I don't think Carter Warren should make the team, and I don't think he will. But Jarquin on Converse is a better corner than Quantas Stiggers right now. I don't know if that's a hot take. Nothing that I've seen from Stiggers shows me that he should be better. Like he should be playing ahead of JBC. He will be because he plays specials and he's likely going to be one of your starting gunners. Him and maybe Kenny Wongwu, he was playing a little gunner in the preseason. Maybe Jamarcus Weston if he makes the roster. But I think JBC should make this team. All right, that's my spiel. I said what I got to say about him. I hope next week when we're doing this show on Wednesday, we're talking about how Jarquin on Converse is on the 53-man roster. I think Tuesday's roster cut day. So next time we're doing this stream, we're going to be talking about final roster decisions.
Because I want to get chat involved in this.
What's your trivia?
I think this could be fun. So I was at that Hackenberg game where he was terrible. 11 of 31, 54 yards. Can you, Justin Fried, name the top receivers in that game? So this was 2016. Hackenberg was 11 of 31 because it's Jets-Eagles coming up. Let's see how many you can get.
Okay.
He didn't have any yards.
Sharon Peak? Damn it.
One target, no yards.
He played in that game, though, right?
So, yeah.
Okay. 2016.
One of them is still in the league. That's your hint.
Hold on. I have a crazy shout here.
Nope.
Chris Harper?
Not at all.
Do you know who that? Do you remember Chris Harper? Okay. He was like a preseason legend for the Jets for 1 year. I think it was right around there. It might have been like 2017.
One of them is in the league
you just gave?
still. One of them is a running back.
Whoa.
Robbie Anderson.
Robbie
Chosen.
Okay. Robbie Cho, sorry. Formerly Robbie Anderson / formerly Robbie Anderson / formerly Rob, or currently
Bryce Petty in that game went 4 of 6, 9 yards and a touchdown, and Robbie Chosen caught a long touchdown from him that game.
The other one is currently they were
a running back, 2 tight ends, and a receiver.
Oh, that should be easy then. Elijah McGuire. Oh, so it's
If chat knows, feel free.
Not Elijah McGuire. Oh, is this is before Trenton Cannon because he was 2018, so it's before Trenton Cannon.
You're
Thomas Rawls. They had him for a summer.
He played. He was a backup. He had. No.
Not Bilal Powell. 2016 backup running back. I am overthinking it. Oh no, Brian said I'm having these audio issues again. Bro, what in the world?
Yeah.
I hate my Mac, dude. I gotta figure this shit out. All right, let me guess the tight ends. Jeff Cumberland, Kellen Davis, Brandon Bostic, Braden Bowman. Damn it. There's so many names. Will Ty wasn't with them in the preseason because they picked him up after the preseason. Give me initials on the running back and I'll get it. Give me initials.
There we go.
Kyrie Robinson. I'm gonna get if you give me initials, I'm gonna get all these. Tight ends. Do I have another name to throw out before initials?
No. Jason Morrow.
Oh, Jason Morrow? Okay, all right. I was trying to overthink it. I was trying to get deep cuts.
He's going to be the hardest one, and then there's a receiver.
All right. Ryan Griffin? No, it's before Ryan Griffin. What am I talking about? It's before Ryan Griffin. All right.
JM and WS. One's a receiver, one's a tight end.
All right. I got one. The tight end is Wes Saxton. Easy money.
Until I gave you the initials. Easy money, yeah.
Well, initials, I'm gonna get all these. Yeah. JM is the receiver. Now I gotta get this.
This is the one I got. I remembered.
I'm thinking JM. He wasn't drafted. Was he drafted by them?
But he played for them for a year.
JM. I'm blanking on that one. Damn it! I just talked so much trash too. JM. It's not like Jason. Is it Jason something? Damn it. Oh, shots. Damn it, Ryan. It's
Brian gets it. There we go.
You know what's stupid? You know what's really bad? You know what? And there's no way for me to prove this. I was in my head thinking Jason Marshall, and I'm like, no, that's a corner on the Dolphins.
For a second,
that's in my head. Yeah. Funnily enough, I have an autograph from Nick Marshall back when I was like young and when I went.
I really thought Wes Saxton was going to take forever.
No, man. I know my Jets scrubs.
But Wes Saxton escapes.
Try me. Try me. Braden Bowman, Chaz Schillens. Give me all.
I don't want no.
If there's a guy who played,
that's the thing. You don't think?
I'm surprised you know that song, Mike.
I'm a resident.
You don't know any pop songs. You don't know any pop. Are you wearing a Chester
Oh, it's
Bennington
from my high
jersey or
school.
jersey shirt right now?
Shout out Pennington Red
Oh,
Hawks.
okay.
But
Never mind. Look, if there's a Jets player who played a game for the team between 2012 and 2025, I know them. I feel confident saying that. I feel confident saying that I'd be able to get them. I want more of this, actually. I want more in the future. Let's do more like random preseason scrubs. I'm happy I got Kyrie Robinson. That was
the only one he got before the initials was
yeah, well, it's hard to think on the top of my head, man. What preseason tight end played with Jets 2016? But if you give me WS, I'm gonna be like, oh yeah, I remember Wes Saxton. I remember
he was
he South Alabama.
Him and Jamal Pritchett, same spot.
Yeah, it's true.
Ohio State.
Jalen
he
Marshall
was Paris Campbell replacement.
Yeah, that one I should know. That was a big scrub.
Or no, he was before Paris Campbell. But
yes. This was after Shaq Evans.
He was part of the IDZIC 12, I remember.
4th round pick.
So with that, I think we're going to call time on the Jet Press podcast. Thank you guys for tuning in. As always, you know where to find us on all the platforms and on YouTube. Also, thank you again, Austrian Jet fan. Thank you. 20 memberships handed out. If you want to go buy one yourself, they're 99 cents. So you don't want to rely on the generosity of Austrian Jet fan, who is awesome. You can go do that. Justin, a resident Jet scrub expert, if you'll concede TLC.
I would like to be known from here on out as the West Saxton,
president of the West Saxton fan club.
What's the president of the West Saxton fan club? I believe he might have played in. No, he wouldn't have played in the spring leagues after that because I don't think he would have been around in time unless he just got the beginning of the AAF or something like that in 2019. Anyway, I should know that as the resident West Saxton expert here. But anyway, until next time, thank you all for joining us on the show. You can follow Mike on Twitter at @ByMikeLuciano. Follow me on Twitter, Justin Fried. Follow Jet Press and Jet Press. Download the Jet Press podcast wherever you get your podcast. Check us out on YouTube and TikTok, by the way. We are going to start posting to TikTok again. Posted something yesterday. We posted something again today. I promise that is something we're going to be doing moving forward again. Subscribe, hit the notification bell. You can also become a member today. Again, as Austrian Jet fan was so generously donated those 20 gifted memberships. You can become a member. It only costs 99 cents, and it's a great way to just help support the show and get your comments prioritized in chat. We stream live every Wednesday at 3 p.m. Eastern time, which means that next Wednesday, we will be live immediately following roster cuts the previous day, talking all things Jets roster, waiver wire pickups, practice squad, breaking all of that down. Thank you all for listening to Jet Press Podcast. I've been Justin Fried. That is Mike Luciano.
And remember, I don't want no scrubs.